Hey y'all, what's up? Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are new. This is just gonna be like a super quick little impromptu video that I just had pop in my head. Halloween was yesterday, today is Thursday. Hopefully we can get this up today. It might be out Friday. Anyways, it'll definitely be relevant come next year. So, something that as a parent you have to do after your kids go trick-or-treating is you have to inspect their candy. And I just had the thought that some people might not know exactly how to inspect trick-or-treat candy. I've seen a few things floating on Facebook of people saying, oh my gosh, I can't believe you have to inspect candy. I've never heard of doing this before. What kind of a world do we live in? And I mean, I grew up in the 90s and my parents always inspected candy. And they always showed me how to inspect my candy as well. So I thought I'd come on here and just kind of walk you guys through how to inspect your Halloween candy. So what I prefer to do is keep everything in a bucket so I know what I've sorted through, what I haven't, and then I just kind of make a pile of things as I sort through. Key rule of thumb here is if like somebody gives your kid fruit, an apple, banana, anything like that, you know, homemade popcorn balls that are in like homemade wrappers, anything like that, unfortunately, unless you know the person, toss them out. It's just not worth taking the risk. I remember in the 90s it being a thing of somebody sticking needles in apples that they were passing out to children. Anything, any homemade treats, anything in like homemade wrappers, anything like that, just toss it out. Along with any candy that falls out of the wrapper. It's just not worth taking the risk. Toss it out. So when we get to candies like this, that you know, they're in their basic wrapper, what you want to do is kind of just give it a once over. Make sure like there's no needle pokes anywhere in the candy. That's especially important with softer candies, kind of like chocolate is a softer candy. Like, so if somebody wanted to inject something, you know, like, I don't know, bleach, people are crazy. If they wanted to inject something in the candy, they easily could. So just want to give it a once over for any puncture marks, any holes, anything like that. And then, and the same thing goes for this stuff, little hard suckers. You want to flip open your side wrapper here, and you want to inspect and make sure that it has not been opened or tampered with. Then you also want to check the sides, and again, make sure it is not open and that there are no issues. Same thing with these ones. Pop them open, have a look, make sure nothing's been tampered with, nothing is open. Same thing, you got little packs of like goldfish. Just, you want to give it a once over. You want to make sure that, you know, and if check and make sure, double check that if, because it looks like it doesn't have a flap on it, but it does. It actually has, right along here, it has a tiny little seam, and you want to make sure, there's my toddler. Yes, I know. You want to make sure that it's not been opened, not been tampered with, nothing's been like injected into the candy. Just give it a really good once over. Okay, so let's talk about like suckers and things and like little plastic wrappings like this. Now, this is really up to you, what kind of neighborhood you are in. How do you feel about it? Do you trust it? The neighborhood we're in, I feel pretty safe. I don't think we're going to have any issues, so I would still give him the Smarties. But depending on where you're trick-or-treating at, you might reconsider. You can give them a good once over and see what you think, if they've been tampered with or not. But honestly, a wrapper like this is so easy to like undo, put it back together. They've got this seam that's like pretty much easy access straight to the candy. So again, that's something as a parent that you have to take into consideration and decide on your own and decide with what neighborhood you are at. So also same thing with suckers. They're not as easy to put back on, but you just want to make sure that they have not been opened. You want to give the wrappers a good looking and make sure there's no holes in the wrappers, and just, you know, on the safe side. And on to toys, and this is a new one that I have never thought about inspecting before. But if somebody gives your child a toy, it's not a bad idea to give it a little wash and a little soak, maybe in some vinegar. Because as I'm sure a lot of you have heard, there was a little boy in Ohio who got exposed to trace amounts of methamphetamine that was on a toy vampire teeth that he got out trick-or-treating. And I know a lot of people will make the claim of people are not going to be passing out drugs to children because drugs are so expensive. And I agree for the most part to that notion. However, you don't know what kind of houses you're trick-or-treating at. You don't know what these people are doing. And if the person handing out the candy happens to also be a meth user and they haven't washed their hands, or depending on where things have been sitting around, you could end up with trace amounts of it on toys or things that they're passing out to children. And if your kid is like highly susceptible to it, like this kid, it was trace amounts, but he ended up like having seizures. just to be on the safe side. Unless you know where the toys are coming from, unless you know the people, like the toy that this came, like the house this toy came from, we knew the people, so I'm not worried about it. But unfortunately, that's the world we live in, and it would be wise to like soak your toys that your kid gets on Halloween in like a vinegar solution, just to like disinfect it, give it a good spray down, clean it, wash it, check it out, make sure it hasn't been tampered with. So that is everything for my thoughts, my tips, and my tricks on how to inspect Halloween candy. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. Is inspecting Halloween candy a new thing for you? Did you grow up doing it? I know that I did. And did I miss any tips on inspecting Halloween candy? Leave them below if you have any more advice or tips or tricks. So that is it for me today, guys. I hope you found this video helpful, and I will see you in my next one.